So solving one-step equations by adding and subtracting. When we do this, the main purpose is to be able to find what the x value is. That's what it means to solve. So if I had an equation x plus 5 equals 10, what you're trying to find is the x value that makes this statement true. So you're looking for what number can you plug in for x that would add, if you add 5 to it, will give you 10. On these easy ones, you can probably see it. 5 plus 5 equals 10, so our x value is 5. When they get more complicated, you will have to solve them a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and solve this one just so that we can see all the steps. So x plus 5 equals 10. So in order to do that, I need to do the inverse of this operation right here. So I always circle my variable. I say that's what I'm looking for. So the opposite of add 5 is subtract 5. So you would subtract 5 from both sides. So it'd be, you bring down what's left. So x equals 10 minus 5 is 5. And that's what we just said. 5 plus 5 equals 10. Okay, that's our first example. Now, when I record these videos, if you need to pause it and finish writing down, then always pause it and finish writing it down. Okay, the next example, x minus 12 equals 8. So you're looking for what number minus 12 would give you 8. So if you look at that, something minus 12 equals 8. So this one's one of those ones that I'm saying could be harder for some people than others. So the easiest way to do it is what's the opposite of subtracting 12? Or the inverse of subtracting 12 is to add 12. So negative 12 plus 12 cancels. 8 plus 12 is 20. So x would equal 20. So if you look back up here, if you take 20 minus 12, it will give you 8. So 20 minus 12 gives you 8. Okay. Remember, you need to do the inverse because you cannot just, if you added 12 here or if you subtracted 12 again, subtracting 12 from a negative 12 would actually give you a negative 24. You want this to become 0. So if I have a negative 12 and I add 12, then I'm left with nothing. That's why it cancels out. Then it's 8 plus 12 is 20. You can look back up into the original. 20 minus 12 is 8. So that is the answer if I was doing that one. Okay. 8 equals x minus 3. Now, every year whenever I do a problem like this, my students always get messed up because of where the equal sign is. The x is now on the right side. It's still the same thing. 8 is equal to what number minus 3? You're looking for some number. Remember, x represents a variable. A variable is just something we don't know. So something minus 3 is going to give you 8. Okay? If you did 10 minus 3, 10 minus 3 is 7. So it's got to be one larger. 11 minus 3 would be 8. So I would need to, again, if you're unsure, you need to do the opposite of subtract 3 because I want to get this to cancel so that all I'm left with is an x. So the opposite of subtract 3 is to add 3 and add 3. 8 plus 3, 8, 9, 10, 11. So 11 is equal to x. Again, plug it in. 11 minus 3, yes, that's 8. So that's the correct answer. Okay. This is the last one, and then you will start your assignment. So it's x plus 6 is equal to negative 14. Now, this one's a negative, so it is going to probably mess some people up. You want some number plus 6 that's equal to negative 14. Some number plus 6 is equal to negative 14. Now, if this is a negative number, you know that this number has to be negative. Again, the easiest way to do this to make sure you don't mess up, and whenever we get to more challenging problems, is to solve for x. So do the inverse of 6. What will make a positive 6 cancel? So the opposite of add 6 is subtract 6. 6 minus 6 is 0. You're left with just x on this side. Bring down your equal sign, subtract 6 over here. Now, if you cannot do adding and subtracting in your head, use a calculator. Negative 14 minus 6. In order to type the negative, you will, in order to type the negative, you're going to hit this button down here. So I'm going to do negative 14 minus 6. When I hit enter, notice it gives me a negative 20. I'm going to go ahead and draw a number line just to remind everybody. So I have negative 14, negative 15, negative 16, negative 17, negative 18, negative 19, negative 20, negative 13, 12, okay, if I'm right here at negative 14 and I subtract 6, if I subtract 6, I need to get smaller, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it would be negative 20. Now, I'm completely fine with you using a calculator. So if you need to get a calculator because you cannot do this in your head or use a number line, then get a calculator. Okay, let's plug this back in just to check it. Negative 20 plus 6. Negative 20 plus 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 is negative 14. So negative 20 is the correct answer. Okay, on your assignment you do have to show work. Make sure you show work on each problem. Even if you can do this in your head, I need you to show work just so that whenever we get to the more complex ones, I know exactly where you're making your mistake now before we get to the harder problems.